EAS Update gives you the flexibility to isolate updates between test and prod environments. That's great, but you might run into a scenario where you're wondering, why isn't a build getting this update? I'm Keith Kurak, Dev Success Engineer at Expo, and I'm going to show you how to debug an EAS update using the info right on your app's dashboard.
I have my simple Japanese language app loaded up here. We're going to try to update it. I want to update the production channel. I've just added a new common word to the common word dictionary, so it should say, have the translation for "do you speak English" down here after the update. So I'm going to run the update. So we see that it's updated the production branch, which is mapped to the production channel. It's got, for my current version of my app, my runtime version, I've got an update here. I've wired up the update listener API in here, so it should refresh to say that I have an update available, and then it'll give me a button to reload the app. However, it's not going. So I might try here to also swipe the app closed, just to see if the update picks up when I reload the app entirely from the checking that happens when your app first starts up. It'll check for updates. Go to my common words here. I still don't see it. So at this point, I'm wondering, where is my update? So this is a point where I can go over to my app dashboard at expo.dev. I'm inside my app. I am going to go to the deployments tab. And this will show me the different runtime versions, how many builds are under, what channel they're mapped to. So let's go back and check in my code what my runtime version should be. We'll go to app.json here, and my runtime version policy is app version. So runtime version is a separate version number used for EAS update to match binaries that are compatible with the same JavaScript. So this is something you want to increment at a minimum every time your binary changes in some way that would make JavaScript incompatible. A very obvious scenario is if your Expo SDK changes, which usually changes your React Native version. Less obvious scenarios might be if you add a package and that package happens to have native code and you use that package inside your JavaScript. So my runtime version policy is app version, so that means my runtime version should be 1.1.5. However, if I go back to my deployments tab, I don't see 1.1.5. So at this point, I'm wondering why isn't my build showing there? So let's head over to the build tab here. Let's look at my latest build. So if I go down here, I will see a warning under Configure Expo Updates. And this build is configured to query EAS update for updates. However, no channel is set in EAS JSON. So going back to my EAS JSON, look at the profile I used here, Production Simulator, and I don't have a channel. So the deployments tab, the first thing to know about the deployments tab is it will only show combinations of builds that are configured for updates. It's trying to give you the entire picture of what version of your JavaScript is this build on. And that only is relevant for builds that are properly configured for EAS update. So to fix this, I would just need to put the channel in here. And then I could rerun the build again. And now, once that build is done and I install it, and then I run an update again against the production channel, it should take the update. There are other scenarios too where EAS update may not be configured and thus not show on the deployments tab. So the other essential configuration for EAS update, besides having the channel in your build profile, would be in your app.json or your dynamic config if you have one. You need to have the updates URL set, and you also need to have the EAS project ID set. So if either of those are not set, you can run EAS update configure, and it will confirm that your app is configured for EAS update, and it'll give you your URL for your app.json if that's not already populated. So my new build with the added channel field is now installed. It's finished building and I've installed it here. So we're going to try to run another update. Now, since I had already left the new word I added to the common dictionary when I went to build the app, it's already there because, of course, the JavaScript that gets uploaded with your EAS build is the embedded bundle. So now my new version of the app is running on the embedded bundle. So to test out updates, I'm going to add a new word to the dictionary, a new phrase, I should say. So we're going to add how much is it? So let's save that. We're going to run an update common words again, channel production. Let's run it. The update is now published. As I noted before, I added the updates listener from the Expo updates library to trigger when this tab is navigated, or this screen is navigated to. You can also do a little secret refresh if you're testing out updates on this screen. You'll see it loaded it made appear a load latest update button. So I'm going to tap that. That does updates.reload. So my app should be running on the latest update. Just the fact that that showed up is a good sign because it wasn't showing up before when the channel wasn't assigned to the build. But when that shows up, that should only show up in my code when the updates listener notes that there's a new update and the update is downloaded. So good sign. Let's go to the comment tab. We can see Akura Deska, how much is it, is now added to our dictionary. So the update worked. And just circling back and checking the deployments tab, if we go back to the app overview, deployments, we should now see we actually have a 1.1.5 runtime version. So that's a very good sign. We did not see that version here at all. It's mapped to channel production. It shows my update right here, update common words again on branch production. And so we can see here in the deployments tab exactly what we just saw in the app, that it's able to receive the update. So great news. Hi there, I'm back again. I'm trying to update my app once more. Since last time I've updated my binary version to 1.1.6, so we're trying to publish an update to the production branch on a new version. I was trying to add a new word, sugoi, which roughly translates to great, awesome, wow. It's an excited interjection, but it's not showing up. I'm trying to refresh. My update button is not popping up, so it's time to head over to my deployments tab and see what's going on. So go to deployments, and I see I have a runtime version 1.1.6. which matches my app version. Open this up. I see it contains the channel prod, which maps to the branch prod, but there's no updates yet. So this tells me there might be a mismatch between what my app is looking at and where I am publishing to. So if I head over to my updates, see my update for add sugoi to common words, and we see it's got the right runtime version, but it is not on the correct branch. And so just to clarify, branch versus channel. Channel is like the fixed place that an app binary is going to look for an update. So when you build your app, you are saying it's always going to look at the channel production or prod. And branch is kind of like a Git branch. It contains a series of updates. Branches can be mapped to different channels. So by default, when you create a new branch or new channel, it's going to create a branch with the same name. So you'll have the production channel, which is fixed to your app, mapped to the production branch, but then you could change that channel production to map to a different branch, say production-hotfix. So in conclusion here, it looks like I've published, well, I could either say I've published to the wrong branch or I put the wrong channel into my app. And since I had been publishing until now to the production branch to update my app, I'm going to go with the latter and say that I changed the channel at some point in my EAS JSON. So I could go over here and go to my profile, my build profile, and I see that somehow the channel has changed to prod. So I should change that back to production and then build again. And then going forward, my updates to the production branch should work just fine. One other option, in this case, I've caught this issue during testing, so it makes a lot of sense just to create a new build. So when I do deploy to the App Store, I haven't changed my deployment strategy around. I'm still sending updates to production, and that's updating the production app. But say you were in a hurry and you had missed this issue and the app is now in the App Store and you still want to get that update out quickly, the other option would be to take that new prod channel that you accidentally created during the build and map that to the production branch. So you can run EAS channel edit, and it gives you a nice little wizard here. And you can select the channel you want to edit. So the channel is my prod channel, and I can say I want to point it to the production branch. So users with builds on channel prod will now receive the active update on production. So now I can do things like say EAS update branch production, and running that will now update my app. And then later on in a future build, if I go and fix the channel to be production again, that same command, updating the production branch, will still continue to work on that new version of the app. So it's time to update my app one more time. I've since cleaned up my issues with my channel name. I even updated to version 1.1.7 for good measure, just to kind of start with a clean slate. I'm trying to add one more common word or phrase, this time daijoubu, which means it's like, I'm okay, I'm good. Like if someone's trying to feed you a lot of extra food, but you're already stuffed, you can say daijoubu. So I've just tried to publish the update, but it's not coming through. My words haven't updated. I've tried refreshing a few times. It's just not working. So I think it's time, one more time, to head over to Deployments tab. So we're on the Deployments tab. We see our version 1.1.7, channel production, branch production. That's pretty normal. So I see no updates though. So now I'm wondering what's going on with my update. Let's hover over to the Updates tab here. I see an update, add daijoubu to common words. Let's click on it here. But I see Runtime version 1.2.0. And going back to the map of deployments, just to be sure, I see Runtime version 1.1.7. So what happened here? As we've discussed, Runtime version is a way to isolate updates to whatever binary version of your app that JavaScript is compatible with. So your JavaScript is going to be compatible with a specific version of the Expo SDK or React Native or whatever modules with native code that your app is using. So in this case, I actually was working on a major update, 1.2.0. I jumped the gun a little bit and I went and updated the version. And then I thought, oh, I needed to update something in the existing version of the app. So in this case, this version number was just updated too soon. So I could set this back to 1.1.7 and I could republish my update, and then my update would be on the runtime version 1.1.7, and that is again set by what the version number is and then this runtime version policy. And something important to note here is when you publish an update, it's going to use the values to set the runtime version based on whatever is in your app.json or app.config.js at the time that you publish. But those corresponding versions in your application's binary are set at the time of build. So if I built my app on version 1.1.7 and had the runtime version of app version, and then I later updated this file to 1.2.0 and then published an update, well, my app is going to be on 1.1.7 because I haven't built it in a while, but the update now is going to be on 1.2.0. So it's important to make sure those are in sync. You can, of course, set different runtime versions. So a good default for a lot of folks is the app version policy, because it kind of goes with the idea that, okay, I've published a version of my app to the stores. It has a distinct version number. And now when I publish updates, those are going to be bug fixes for that specific app version. Some folks might choose different runtime policies, or they can set their own runtime version. So if you have, if your updates are going to be compatible across a broad series of version numbers, because maybe you only update native dependencies on minor revisions or even major revisions, you could do something like this. You could put a string in here and you could say 1.2, and then maybe you only update that manually when you go to version 1.3, and everything that's a patch release like 1.2.1 that's compatible with the same runtime. That is totally up to you. The important part when it comes to EAS update is that those versions match. I'm back working on my app some more. I've updated all the common words and those are working fine. I'm on the latest update there on version 1.1.7. But lately, more recently, I've been working. I've had a bunch of things breaking, crashes happening. I'm trying to fix these broken things. I've been creating internal builds, trying to replicate an issue in production. So I've been publishing updates all over the place to try to iterate through this quickly. And I finally got the fix. And I'm trying to update production. And my app isn't updating. So just got to figure out what's going on. So once again, we can head back to the deployments tab. We're on version 1.1.7, channel production, and let's refresh here, see that it's got everything. So I've got my last update, which was to add my last common word, but I don't have my update to actually fix the production issue I'm facing. And let's take a closer look. Let's find that update. So let's head back to the updates tab here. And I've got my fix all the broken stuff. Runtime version looks good, but this branch looks a little bit funny here. Branch prod hotfix 17. Heading back to my deployment just to be sure. Branch production. And to be super sure, since as you recall, we have channels which are fixed to your build, and then we have branches which you can switch channels to different branches. We can go look at our production channel. We can look production down here, and we can see the branch it is linked to is production. So the reason my update isn't taking effect is because the channel that my app is built with, production, is not linked to the branch that I updated to, which was prod hotfix 17. So I could republish that code, but even faster and works with what I already have uploaded, I can actually edit the channel to point to my new branch. So we can run EAS channel edit. it'll give me a list of my channels. You can also specify all of these as parameters too to execute everything in one command, but if you don't specify the parameters, it gives you a nice list of things to choose from. And prod hotfix 17 is the branch I want to map to. So now it's mapped instantly. You don't even need to rebuild. It just flips a bit, and now apps with a channel production will now look for updates on prod hotfix 17. And we can head back to our channels. We can see this updated mapping. Let's refresh here. Now we can see it's updated. And likewise on our deployments. It's going to be pointing to channel production, pointing to branch hotfix 17. So we can now see everywhere. We can see in our deployments tab going from build to channel to branch that everything's in the right place. So if I head back to my app and do my little secret refresh thing, I should see my load latest update button, and I will be on my latest update. Thanks for joining me as we work through successfully debugging and fixing my app's EAS update configuration. Even though the issue is a little different every time, we could always check the deployments tab as well as updates and channels to see where things didn't quite line up and then fix it with a single command or a tiny code change. For these steps and more, you can head to docs.expo.dev and search for EAS update. Thank you.